5 reasons you will never be rich. That's today's show. Let's dive into it.
Here we are at our very first rental property.
Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris, longtime real estate investor. This is the show where we help you build financial intelligence so you can be financially free. Now, I built my financial freedom thanks to buy and hold real estate, purchasing of affordable homes and holding them for the rest of my life. Cash flow from tenants in those properties provides me a lifestyle that I want for you, and that's what we teach you how to do here on this channel. Okay, there are some common denominators that I see among individuals who just never can get over that speed bump, who can just never make that next step to becoming wealthy. They constantly churn at a same level and they never are able to break through. Now, I grew up with a lot of negative associations with money in my family. I watched these things happen with my family, my parents. I saw my dad constantly working, constantly reading books on entrepreneurship and working for other people at that time, wanting to break through, wanting to start his own business. And he did from time to time, but he never found the kind of success that I was able to unlock at a younger age in my 30s. So if I could go back in time, one of my maybe great regrets is that, God, I wish I would have known that entrepreneurial journey when I was younger. So maybe I could have worked on this with my father. Maybe I could have helped him get over some of these hurdles that I see now in other people who are trying to start their business. So that is one of my regrets. My father is nearing 90 years old now, and that is sort of out of the cards for him. So now I can provide for him a life in his retirement. Nevertheless, that is one of those regrets, and I hope that you don't have that growing up as well. All right, let's talk about the 5 things that I think hold people back from becoming wealthy, from building true legacy wealth for themselves and their family. Number 1 on my list is they buy liabilities. How many of you know people who, drive around in the flashy car? They're constantly getting the new car. They're constantly telling you about all the stuff that they're buying. They're going to the mall and buying really expensive outfits and things. But you know that they're actually struggling, that they're putting on a show. It's very hard to see. It's really that idea of that millionaire next door mentality, right? Where there are people that drive around in the flashy cars, the Range Rovers and things like that, and you know they're not actually wealthy, that they're swimming in liabilities. And there's no way for you to break through and to move to that next level when you buy expensive, ridiculous things, like a house that you live in, a ridiculous car, or you're swimming in student loan debt. So if you are swimming in massive liabilities, you are never going to be able to get wealthy. You're never going to be able to get rich. And the intelligent rich person uses cash flow and passive income in order to pay for their hobbies, in order to go, snorkeling off the Grand Caymans, in order to buy that Porsche that they're so excited about, like Jerry Seinfeld, right? The passive income provides those hobbies. But most people end up spending that money they don't have. They put money on credit cards, they buy things with credit cards that they can't pay back, and they're paying for these liabilities. Most people will buy a house that they live in, which is a huge mistake, because as I've said before, the house you live in is a liability. It's taking money out of your pocket every month and putting it in the hands of a bank. There is no cash flow from that house if you live in it. You're paying property taxes. You're going to Home Depot or Lowe's to fix up the house. You have to pay for all the upkeep of this property, and the whole time cash is flowing out. You cannot argue with me and tell me that a house you live in is a performing asset, unless of course you live in a duplex. I get it. That's not my point. If you live in a single family house and you pay for it with a mortgage, that, my friends, is a liability. So number 1, people buy liabilities. That's one reason you will never, ever get rich. Number 2 on my list, they rely on a paycheck. If you rely and work for somebody else, you will never get rich. You will be working for somebody else and you are making that company, that person wealthy. That's the bottom line. Most people who work for a paycheck are, increasing the profit of that company. And so if you are trading your time for money and you get that piece of paper at the end of every week or every 2 weeks and your taxes are taken out and you're paying Social Security and all of these other things and your health insurance, you are trading all of those hours in order to get a piece of paper which will never get you to that next level. Another reason why when you work for somebody else, it's a bad choice and you will never get rich is that you are also in the highest tax bracket. What you must understand is that the government rewards individuals who are entrepreneurs and business owners, who build companies. That's how the tax code is written. If you work for somebody else, the government doesn't reward you. Sure, the government wants employees, right? They reward me as a business owner for hiring people because that helps the economy. But they don't reward you for just collecting a paycheck as a W-2 employee. No, you, my friend, are taxed in the highest tax bracket. Warren Buffett famously talked about his secretary, saying that it's a tragedy in this country that he, as a business owner, pays way less taxes than his secretary because she gets a paycheck. So she is taxed at a much higher rate. Again, business owners are rewarded. So again, encouraging you to start a business, start an LLC, create your side hustle in the afternoon when you get home from work. That is how you get rich. But working for somebody else, you cannot be wealthy. You cannot be wealthy. And another reason you can't, when you're working for somebody else, and let's say you invest in real estate, if you have a primary job, which is a paycheck, and you want to become a real estate professional on the side, the government doesn't allow it, and the IRS won't allow it. That has to be your primary job, the real estate investor, the real estate professional. So if you work and get a W-2 job and you work somewhere else, the IRS says, I'm sorry, we see you getting a paycheck. That is not your primary job. And you can't do it. You can't do it on your taxes until you leave that job. So just remember, if you're working for a paycheck, you can never get rich. The third reason you will never be rich is if you're trading time for money. Any time that you are being charged hourly, you're working 40 hours a week for somebody else, and you're trading your time for money. Don't do that. We want you to create streams of cash from performing assets, okay? That is how you should be earning your money, not trading the hours in the day. If I had to ask you, what is the most valuable currency in the universe? You might say gold, silver, real estate, the dollar. No, the most valuable currency, I believe, is our time. Our time to spend it with our families, our time to travel, our time to meditate, write a book, start a business. But if you are working for somebody else and you're trading those hours, they're gone. You never get those back. And it's a hard reality. So I want you to think about how you can start your exit strategy. How can you make this plan to take action and build a business, something you're passionate about? But if you're getting up in the morning and driving 2 hours to and from work every day, and then you're spending 8 hours making another company wealthy, you, my friend, are giving up your life. It's like a life force that's going out. It's disappearing. It's going to that company, not you, not to your life force. So don't do it. You're never going to get wealthy that way. The fourth way that you will never get rich is if you surround yourself with losers. Remember, we are the product of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if you are spending your time with negative people, with naysayers who tell you you can't do something, people who aren't successful, people who tell you you can't do something or achieve anything, then you, my friend, are not going to build wealth. You're not going to break free of that. So if you're surrounded by all of these bottom feeders, these gossip people, okay, these losers that tell you you can't do it, you are going to be a loser too. You're going to be down there with them. I told the story where I used to work a number of years ago in a TV station in Florida, and man, everyone in that office was negative. Everyone gossiped all day long. That's all they did. And I was involved in it too. I found myself just getting sucked into those little side conversations in the office. And, oh, really? She didn't show up to work today because of what? Oh, really? Oh, the show. Are we having so much trouble with who's our new boss? What's going to happen to the... It was so negative. So I made a commitment. I said, no more. And the following morning after this commitment was made, I went downstairs when people started talking gossip, and I went into one of the sales rooms because it was 4 a.m, no one's there at that hour, before the morning show. And I just sat and did a meditation for half an hour before the show started. removed myself from that negative situation, and started trying to find new friends, frankly. I started going to local meetup groups. I started just surrounding myself with people who were more successful than me. So do you think if someone's not successful and they're giving you advice, so you've got a loser you're surrounded by, and you want to start investing in real estate, you want to start your own business, right? And you go to this friend, quote unquote friend, who's never done anything in his life, right? And he tells you, he gives you advice. Well, you shouldn't do that. My uncle tried that one time. He bought a single family home and he had these tenants calling him all hours of the night. That could stop you in your tracks if you're a stupid person, right? You could say, oh, maybe you're right. Okay, well, maybe your uncle's right. I guess I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that, right? It's very easy to talk yourself out of something. Instead, maybe that uncle was an idiot. Maybe that uncle managed the property himself. Maybe that uncle didn't know what he was doing, right? So you have the opportunity to break free of these losers that you're surrounding yourself with and start to think bigger. So I would invite a millionaire out to lunch. Go to a local group and find successful people in your community who have started multiple businesses. You know, it's one of my regrets as a child that there was a couple of smart business people in my community as a kid, and I was friends with them. One of them was our soccer coach, and I didn't think to maybe sit down and have coffee with them, just pick their brain and say, hey, John, can you tell me, how did you buy 3 car washes? How? How did you do that? 3 car wash businesses. That's amazing. You know, how did you put all this together? How did you accomplish that? Instead, you know, I waited till I was older to start doing that. So start young, start to do it when you're young, make those relationships and learn business from those that know how to create business. And the 5th reason you're probably never going to be wealthy and you're going to remain poor is that you waste time. Again, time is our most valuable currency, okay? So we have 168 hours in a week. Even if you work for somebody else for 40 hours a week, and then you sleep 8 hours a day, which you're not doing, that means you still have 72 hours in a week. What are you going to do with that additional 72 hours? Are you going to sit down and watch Netflix every night with a bag of chips? Are you going to play video games? Or are you going to work on your side hustle? Are you going to start to dream big? Are you going to start to lay the foundation of that website that you've always wanted to build? Are you going to start to invest in real estate? Maybe it's wholesaling real estate. So you take a wholesaling real estate course, okay? I have a link below to my favorite from my friend Tom. That's an amazing course. You could be studying those modules at night, making your brain smarter, and then going out and learning how to do deals. Start to make $50,000 a month from wholesaling real estate to get started. That's how I started. And I started using that cash in order to buy rental properties. You can too. So those are my 5 reasons that you're probably poor. And I hope, maybe I hope it makes you a little angry. I hope there's something here that if you get upset about, it's probably because I've struck a nerve, right? Some of these things are probably going to ring true. Now, I'm not perfect, not at all. I waste a lot of time in my week that I wish I wouldn't. I could accomplish so much more if I would actually, be a little bit more focused. That's one of my great challenges. Those 72 hours, well, I work for myself, so I have a lot more than 72 hours. But that additional time, I need to be a better steward of time management. It was one of my big New Year's resolutions this year, calendar blocking my time. So I know that from 9 to 10 a.m. I'm working on this project. From 10 to 11 a.m. I'm working out. From this time to this time I'm doing this. I'm recording an episode of this podcast. I'm being interviewed here. And I'm mapping this out in a really strong way. So those are some of my key areas that I want for you in this new year. Think about these things, let them resonate with you a little bit. If I struck a nerve, I'm sorry, but use that as motivation to go out there and take action, because I believe real estate investing is the #1 way to build wealth. We'll see you next time.